All right, so today we're doing a deep dive on something pretty important, reproductive health.
Yeah.
It's something that, affects all of us in some way or another, but it's also one of those things that's often like shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or misunderstood or just explained like in bits and pieces. And it's like, come on, it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
So we're going to try to clear some of that up.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you've given us some really great material to work with.
For sure.
We're going to be diving into a podcast called Understanding Reproductive Health.
Okay.
And that's from a show called Healthy Beginnings.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff. So get ready for some myth busting and like really empowering facts.
I'm ready. I'm strapped in.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that really struck me just right off the bat in this podcast was this idea that reproductive health isn't just about having babies.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a huge misconception. A lot of times, we tend to associate reproductive health solely with pregnancy and childbirth. But in reality, it encompasses so much more. It's about the overall well-being and functionality of the entire reproductive system throughout our entire lives.
Yeah.
Not just during the years when we might be considering having children.
Right, exactly. And, the podcast, they actually defined it as like how our bodies grow and change and work. Specifically the parts that are related to like creating life.
Right.
So what does that actually look like? I mean, how would you kind of break that down in practical terms for, people listening?
Well, I think the podcast does a great job of breaking it down into three key components. Physical development, functional well-being, and health choices. So starting with physical development, this encompasses all of the changes our bodies go throughout our lives, from puberty and menstruation to, changes during pregnancy and menopause. It's all about how our reproductive systems are growing and evolving over time.
Yeah.
And then there's functional well-being, which refers to the way our reproductive systems are actually working. So are our hormones balanced? Are our periods regular? Are we able to conceive if and when we choose to? This is all about how efficiently our bodies are functioning in relation to our reproductive health.
Okay, I see.
And finally, we have health choices. And this is where our personal decisions and behaviors come into play. Things like nutrition, exercise, hygiene, and seeking medical care when needed. All of these choices can have a significant impact on our reproductive health.
Gotcha. So it's really like a holistic view, right?
Exactly. It's not just about one aspect. It's about understanding how all of these pieces fit together to create a complete picture of our reproductive well-being.
Okay. I love that. And it's interesting because the podcast hosts, Sarah and Frank, they really focused on this idea of puberty.
Yeah, puberty is a really critical stage in reproductive development. It's that transitional period where our bodies are changing from childhood to adulthood, and it's often accompanied by a lot of physical and emotional changes that can feel overwhelming or even scary for some people.
For sure.
And I think it's really important to emphasize that all of these changes are completely normal and natural.
Yeah.
They're a sign that our reproductive systems are developing as they should. It's just, one stage in this lifelong journey of reproductive health.
Right. It's like, it's a process. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a process.
Okay. So the podcast, they really hammered home this idea of making healthy choices to support reproductive health.
Yes, absolutely.
What are some of the things that like really resonated with you about their advice?
Well, they touched on a lot of important points, but one that really stood out to me was the emphasis on nutrition.
Okay.
What we eat plays such a crucial role in hormone balance and overall reproductive system health.
Yeah.
And, for example, a diet that's loaded with processed foods and sugar can really disrupt our estrogen levels, which can lead to a whole host of problems. But on the other hand, a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, all of those good things,
right,
can actually help to keep our hormones in balance and support the optimal function of our reproductive system.
It's really amazing how interconnected everything is,
Oh, absolutely. It all comes back to taking a holistic approach to our health.
Yeah, I know. It's so true. Now, what about exercise?
Yes, exercise. Another vital component of reproductive health. We all know that exercise is good for us in general, but it has specific benefits when it comes to our reproductive system.
Okay.
For one, it helps to improve blood circulation, which is essential for keeping those reproductive organs functioning properly.
Makes sense.
And then, of course, there's the stress management aspect. Chronic stress, as we've mentioned before, can negatively impact hormone production. And exercise is a fantastic way to help manage and reduce stress levels.
Yeah, so it's like a double whammy, right?
Yeah.
You're getting the physical benefits and the mental, emotional benefits.
It's a win-win situation.
Okay, so the podcast also stressed hygiene.
Yes.
I think we all know that cleanliness is important.
Right.
But what are some of the specifics that we should be keeping in mind, especially in relation to reproductive health?
Well, I think the key takeaway here is that good hygiene practices can go a long way in preventing infections and maintaining a healthy balance in our reproductive system. So, simple things like showering regularly, wearing clean underwear, and choosing breathable fabrics, especially for those, delicate areas, can really make a difference. And it's also important to avoid tight-fitting clothes, especially in hot and humid weather, as this can create an environment that's more prone to, bacterial growth.
Right. So it's not just about being clean, but also about creating an environment that's healthy.
Precisely. It's about setting ourselves up for success in every way possible.
I love that. Okay, cool. And one last thing from the podcast that I thought was really important was they talked about seeking help when you need it.
Oh, absolutely. That's something that we can't stress enough.
Yeah, and it's why is that so important, especially in the context of reproductive health?
Well, I think there are a few reasons. First of all, when it comes to reproductive health, early detection is often key to better outcomes. So many issues, if caught early on, can be easily managed or treated.
Right.
But if we wait too long or ignore those warning signs, things can become more complicated. And I think another important factor is that, unfortunately, there's still a lot of stigma and shame surrounding reproductive health, which can make it really difficult for people to reach out for help when they need it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we really want to encourage everyone to remember that there's absolutely no shame in seeking help for anything related to your reproductive health.
Yeah.
Whether it's something that's causing you pain or discomfort, you're concerned about a potential infection, or you just have questions about your body and how it's working.
Right.
It's always best to talk to a doctor or a trusted healthcare provider.
Totally. So if there's one thing, just one thing that our listeners should take away from this entire deep dive today, what would you say it should be?
I think the most important takeaway is that reproductive health is about understanding and caring for your body throughout your entire life. It's about making informed choices, being proactive about your health, and feeling empowered to seek help when you need it.
That's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, this deep dive is just the beginning, all right? Use this knowledge to continue exploring, to ask questions, and to really take charge of your reproductive well-being.
That's right. Knowledge is power.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time.
See you then.